Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
The Rock and Review is thrilled to bring you an incredible singer, songwriter, guitarist, platinum selling, and one of Elle Magazine's 12 greatest female electric guitarists of all times. It's Orianthi. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. How you doing?
Doing great. Well, it's great to have you on, especially with your brand new album, Oh, that came out this past November. And, you know, listening to the album, Orianthi, you got to fill us in. You've got a lot of different styles of music in here. Sometimes I felt like it was Trans-Siberian Orchestra. At other times, you got some blues. And then other times, I feel like some Hendrix. So how did you come up with all these tracks for this new album?
Well, it is pretty eclectic, I have to admit. But, you know, I think it's kind of, it's cohesive. I decided to make this record in 28 days with my great friend, Marty Fredrickson, who is in Nashville. And I've known him since I was like 20 years old. And I went to Nashville on a writing trip, and I ended up writing with Marty. And the first song we wrote was Rescue Me, right? It was acoustic. And I came back to LA, back home here, and listened to all the tracks I'd recorded demo-wise. And that track just sort of stood out. And just the, you know, the energy that I have working with Marty, like we just have a great friendship, and it's really easy to work with him. And so I called him, I'm like, would you produce my album? And he's like, he was working with Aerosmith at the time in Vegas. And he's like, yeah,
Some
that
people
sounds
know
great.
that band. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful that he had the time to do it and wanted to. So we booked it, and it took about a month to do the whole record, writing it, you know, just recording it all. We set this sort of time frame for ourselves and just like, we're going to get this done. And Nikki Sixx wrote a song with us. My good friend Candy Carpenter wrote a song with us, and Lindsay Garrick as well. And so, yeah, it was really a lot of fun making this record. Just a really fun experience. And it is pretty diverse, eclectic. It's something that, you know, I get bored very easily with records sometimes when they sound the same, right? So I didn't want to bore myself. So I hope this record doesn't bore people. That's kind of, you know.
You know, I don't think it will. I mean, you know, it's definitely going to be in my regular rotation now. And like you brought up too with Rescue Me, what I found so interesting about that, Orianthi, to where it had the piano and it had the acoustic guitar, but then also you got some rock and electric guitar that kicks into it. So it's like, you know, you have building up moments within the song.
Yeah, well, the song, it was funny because it started acoustic. Sorry, it was acoustic demo. And then I was like, you know what, I should go into this riff, which is like really heavy. Kind of sounds like, you know, Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, and just go crazy. And then Marty's like, okay. And so we just piled up the guitars and brought in the drums, and it's unexpected, but I think it's kind of cool. And I can't wait to play that song live. And once we get to touring, because it is crazy releasing an album and then not backing it up with shows, because that's the reason why we do, you know, records, is to go out and play them live. So my mind was kind of set on, you know, kind of how the stage is going to look for every song, and just, you know, as I was recording it. And with this year and everything that's gone down, it's kind of like, we don't know, probably next year, late next year, we'll be doing some shows. But there could be a virtual concert that I'll be doing pretty soon. So keep, you know, tuned for that, because I'll let you guys know more information on my social.
Yeah, please do. Well, and I got to bring this up to you, Orianthi, to where, you know, you started playing piano at like 3 years old, but then you gravitated towards acoustic guitar, kind of at the insistence of your father, right?
Yeah. So my dad, he's a left-handed guitar player, and he still does. He has a lot of guitars around the home. My mum has shoes, so it was kind of a fight between the shoes and the guitars and the closet and the pedals falling out, guitars. And so, and he has a great record collection. Both of my parents, you know, have good taste in music. My mum's more into like Frank Sinatra, Tom Jones, you know, the crooners, everything. And then my dad's more into like Hendrix and you know, Cream and Santana, Braxis. So, you know, my mind was, you know, really, I mean, I just loved it. Like growing up in the environment I did. So I just, as soon as he put a guitar in my hands when I was 6 years old, I just got addicted to it. And it was also like a bonding thing with me and my dad. Like we just sit there and just like jam with him. And it's just so cool. And it looked kind of intimidating too. There's something about the guitar which is very intimidating. And it's like, I look at it and I just want to pick it up. And there's nothing that brings me more joy than just sitting there and playing, you know, and even if it's my room or it's in front of 100,000 people or a couple thousand or a couple hundred, doesn't matter. It's fun. I love it. So, yeah.
Well, I got to bring this up too then. You know, you started songwriting at 15 years old. How did you end up sharing the stage with Steve Vai at that age?
Well, actually, my first song I ever wrote when I was 6 years old.
Oh my gosh!
Because I learned three chords, and I was listening to the Beatles at the time, so it was the Beatles, and Elvis Presley and Roy Orbison. So I wanted to write a song, and it was called "Spin Your Jackets Around," and I performed it at school with my dad's 125 Gibson, which I took, and he didn't even know. He was fine with it because I didn't damage it. But yeah, I mean, I just love songwriting. Songwriting came to me before actually just really learning how to play guitar or anything. So I was just really obsessed with the whole art of that, and storytelling and everything. And then and then opening for Steve Vai when I was 14, because I signed my first management contract when I was 14, 15. So it was Steve Vai, then ZZ Top, and then ZZ Quattro, and then I was playing radio gigs, and I was doing car races and Coca-Cola Fest, all that kind of stuff. And then I would come over and demonstrate at the NAMM show out here in Anaheim in LA. So for PRS Guitars, and I just did that for years, and finally got a deal with Jimmy Iovine, which was very wild. After doing a demo at home and in my home studio in Adelaide, and I kind of I was such a self-promoter. I would hand out everyone press kits and hey, just check out my record. I was one of those people, You
gotta be.
You gotta be. And honestly, it was years and years just playing in pubs and then, it's a lot of work. And then once you get a deal, the real work starts too, because you got to get in there, write, the songs. These songs work, these ones don't. You go through hundreds of different songwriting sessions. And honestly, that whole first experience of coming over to America and doing everything was pretty wild. I must say, I left home when I was 19, 20. So moving from Adelaide to LA, which is quite the move. So yeah.
Well, I think it was so impressive too, Orianthi, to where, you got to play, obviously you're talking about your dad's record collection, but you got to play with so many of the people you were listening to. You mentioned Santana, and all of these artists that you played with, including touring with Alice Cooper, Dave Stewart. It's and you were the final guitarist, handpicked by Michael Jackson, which is a huge honor.
Oh, it's beyond. I mean, I honestly, when I got the email, to work with Michael, I didn't think it was for real. And I was working with Diane Warren at the time too, who's an incredible songwriter. So I was just so excited about working with her. And then I get an email, hey, as I'm in the vocal booth, with Diane, do you want to come in? Michael, MJ, looked at some of your videos and you're exactly what he's looking for. And I'm like, holy crap, this is insane. So I go in there and I play Beat It for him and Dirty Diana, and he hired me that kind of moment. And it was wild. I got to tell you, it was 4 or 5 months working with him, something like that. I'm not too sure the exact time frame, because it's, that whole time was pretty much like a blur, like a dream, everyone, very surreal. Very surreal is the best word to kind of sum it up.
Well, another time that I'll never forget seeing you on television and everything, Orianthi, was when you were playing with Carrie Underwood on the Grammys. It's you were just rocking it. It's going, I mean, that definitely was a big audience, playing with Carrie Underwood for that one.
Oh, Carrie, she's the best. I'm a huge fan of hers. She's such a sweet person too, so talented. And that was so crazy. It really was, playing the Grammys for the first time with Carrie and her band. It was so wild. And looking out, and there's Paul McCartney. It's I walked past B.B. King, in the green room, and I was dying, because he's one of my biggest influences. So I was hugging him, getting photos, and then The Edge and Bono's walking past you, and you're you want to talk to everybody. And I'm okay, don't act like a 5-year-old. Keep composed. Get to the stage.
I always enjoy seeing you play on stage, electric and everything. And, I think what else the new album O does for you, it seems like to me, Orianthi, is it really does a great job of showcasing your vocals this time also. And then you've got just diverse guitar sounds throughout. You know what I mean? It's not like you said, it's not just one style and there it is. You got some good fuzz guitar. You've got there's so many different textures within it, but they all showcase your voice very well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. We experimented a lot. I didn't want to use just one guitar tone. I was to Marty, I'm plug me into this. This pedal looks good. Plug me into this. Okay, let's try that. And he's handing me guitars as well and different pedals. And I said, it's just a kind of an open field here. Let's just go for it. Like, I don't want to just do what I've done before, because my next record that I'm going to make is going to be different from this one. I've also got the records as well, the vinyl. They're available as well. So you can order them through Walmart, I believe, and a few other, Amazon too. So yes, and that's really cool, because it's not, I'm just a big fan of the whole vinyl sound. There's nothing like,
me too.
I've been listening to Hendrix on vinyl lately, and it's just mind blowing, because it feels like you're in the room, the warmth that comes with that. So, but yeah, getting back to this record, like with everything and the sounds and the drum sound and everything, we just kind of want it to be pretty organic, not overthought, not overproduced, not, but it sounds like it, production's awesome because Marty's so talented, but it was just pretty much myself, Marty, and his son for the whole album. No one else. Like his son, Evan Fredrickson, is an incredible drummer and bass player and engineer too. So, and I programmed some stuff, played bass, guitar, synth, and then Marty played synth and different things and bass. And so, yeah, we all just collectively put our, stuff together, and we're like a bunch of kids in the studio. It was fun. It really was.
I want to make sure that our viewers, Orianthi, know where to find you on the web, social media, everything, with all the great things you have coming out, so that they can find you.
Yeah, so it's I am Orianthi on Instagram. Look for the blue tick, because there's quite a few, the approval stamp, I don't know what you call that thing, but look for that, because there's a few others that are not me, and they post weird things. So I post weird things, but not as weird as these other people. So so that there's that, and then there's Twitter, which I think is just at my name, and just look for the blue thing again. Facebook as well. So yeah, I just pretty much, I'm on there. I'm on TikTok, everybody, as well, but there's only 2 postings, so you can follow me on there, and I may post more.
Well, Orianthi, thank you so much for joining the Rock and Review. Congratulations on your new album, Oh. I'm sure our viewers want to go out, download it. If you want to get the CD or the vinyl, be sure and go out and buy that, because you're going to love all the songs on here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.